Alright, guys, buckle up, because this one is going to rock the entire NFL universe. If you've seen the rumors flying around over the past 24 hours, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but in case you missed it, let me bring you up to speed in a way that only we do here on the channel. Jalen Hurts, yes, the face of the Philadelphia Eagles, the franchise quarterback who led them to a Super Bowl appearance just 2 seasons ago. The guy who was practically carved into the stone of the Eagles' future plans has allegedly confirmed a shocking, unprecedented move. He's headed to the Dallas Cowboys. Let that sink in for a second. The Dallas Cowboys. If you know anything about football, even at the most casual level, you know that this isn't just any team. This is the Eagles' most bitter, deep-rooted, and historic rival. And Jalen Hurts, who's been a symbol of grit, work ethic, and leadership in Philadelphia, might just be swapping his wings for a star on his helmet. The NFL hasn't seen a quarterback swap with this kind of potential shock value in years, possibly decades. This isn't just about sports, it's about identity, loyalty, and a rivalry that stretches back generations. So let's get into it. Now, before we get too far, let's be clear. This isn't an official trade announcement coming from the league offices or Adam Schefter tweeting out an exclusive. No, this is more of a nuclear bomb rumor that started circulating from sources close to both camps. Apparently, the whispers began when a very select group of insiders noticed that Hurts had cleared certain Eagle-related branding from his personal channels and was spotted in Dallas at an off-season charity event, hosted by none other than several prominent Cowboys alumni. That alone wouldn't be enough to sound the alarms, but then came the kicker, a cryptic message from Hurts himself during a podcast appearance. He was asked about his future in Philadelphia and whether he saw himself finishing his legacy there. Instead of offering the expected boilerplate response, something like "I love Philly, I'm committed," he paused and said, quote, "You never know what tomorrow brings. I go where God leads." That may sound poetic, but fans and analysts immediately dissected it as a major red flag. A guy who just signed a $255 million extension saying something that vague? That's not normal. So now, all eyes are on Dallas. And the real question is, why would this even be on the table? Why would Jalen Hurts, who seemed to have it all in Philly, the money, the support, the system, suddenly be looking across the division lines to the Cowboys of all teams? Well, there are multiple layers here, and we've got to dig deep. First off, let's talk about the state of the Eagles. Yes, they're talented. But last season exposed some cracks. After starting red hot, they stumbled late in the year, lost critical games, and there were murmurs, quiet but steady, about locker room friction, coaching disconnect, and even play calling tensions between Hurts and the offensive staff. The team lost both coordinators in the offseason prior, and while they patched the holes, it clearly didn't have the same rhythm. Hurts looked visibly frustrated in a few games. You could tell he wasn't fully comfortable. Not to mention, the offensive line dealt with injuries, the run game became inconsistent, and the pressure of carrying a Super Bowl-caliber roster seemed to be mounting on him. When quarterbacks begin to question the infrastructure around them, even slightly, that's when seeds get planted. That's when agents and front office execs start whispering alternatives. Now turn your focus to Dallas. They've got a top 10 defense, arguably the best pass rusher in the league in Micah Parsons, young offensive weapons like CeeDee Lamb, and a leadership void at quarterback. Dak Prescott has had moments of brilliance, no doubt, but also a string of playoff disappointments that's worn down the fan base. The team seems to have hit a ceiling with him, and while the franchise keeps saying all the right things, everyone can feel the tension. Jerry Jones is 81 years old, and if there's one thing we know about Jerry, it's that he's obsessed with winning another Super Bowl before he's done. Bringing in Jalen Hurts, a division rival, a dual-threat superstar, a guy who's beaten the Cowboys on the biggest stages, would be the boldest, most Jerry move imaginable. Think about it, stealing the Eagles' chosen one to wear the star. That's Hollywood-level drama. That's legacy chess. And if Jerry has to throw in multiple first-round picks, unload Dak's contract, and offer Hurts ownership stakes in the Cowboys' future, do you really think he'd hesitate? From a football perspective, Hurts fits beautifully into the Cowboys' scheme. Imagine him behind that offensive line, working with Pollard in the backfield, rolling out on bootlegs, and launching bombs to Lamb or Ferguson. Defenses would be in absolute panic. His mobility would unlock a new dimension that Dak simply doesn't bring consistently. He'd bring swagger, toughness, and leadership to a locker room that often feels too quiet when the stakes get high. Plus, let's not forget that Hurts grew up in Texas. He's a Houston native, played at Alabama and Oklahoma, and was often linked to the Cowboys in draft projections before the Eagles nabbed him in the second round of 2020. There's a sense of coming home to this storyline, and you better believe marketing departments are already drooling over the jersey sales potential. A Hurts #1 Cowboys jersey? That's an instant bestseller. Now we've got to consider the fallout. If this happens, and yes, that's still a massive if, it sends shockwaves across the NFC East and the entire NFL. The Eagles would need to either go all in on a new rookie QB or somehow stomach the idea of Dak Prescott leading their team. That's a scenario most Philly fans would rather not think about. It would force both franchises to reckon with identity-level changes. For the Eagles, losing Hurts would mean resetting their championship window. For Dallas, it would mean committing to a whole new offensive identity. And let's be real, the media storm would be relentless. Every game between Dallas and Philly would become a grudge match. Every post-game handshake, every touchdown celebration, every sideline stare, it'd all be dissected to death. Ratings would skyrocket, and the NFL would quietly be thrilled. But it wouldn't be all sunshine. Hurts moving to Dallas also brings massive pressure. Cowboys fans are notoriously impatient. They want wins, they want rings, and they want them now. Jalen would go from being the underdog hero of Philly to the high-expectation savior of Dallas. If he stumbles early, if the offense doesn't click right away, if the team exits the playoffs early again, the critics would be loud, and the comparisons to Dak would be nonstop. And for Hurts, a man known for his stoic leadership, that could be both a motivator and a heavy burden. But based on everything we've seen from him, from his Alabama benching to his Oklahoma rebirth to his Super Bowl run, this is a guy who thrives under pressure. If anyone could handle it, it's him. And let's not ignore the ripple effect across the league. Other teams watching closely, like the 49ers, the Vikings, even the Falcons, would need to recalibrate their own long-term QB plans. The NFC playoff picture would shift dramatically. Vegas odds would change overnight. Fantasy drafts would be turned upside down. And most of all, the narrative of loyalty in modern sports would take another huge hit. Hurts leaving Philly isn't just a transfer, it's symbolic. It reminds us that in the NFL, legacy is fluid, loyalty is fragile, and business always comes first. Players love their fans, but they love their careers more. And if there's a better opportunity, a bigger spotlight, or just a stronger belief in the fit, well, anything can happen. So, where do we go from here? We wait. We watch. We track every cryptic Instagram story, every sideline handshake, every leaked report. We analyze cap sheets, restructure possibilities, trade value charts. And we ask ourselves the question no one thought we'd ever have to ask: could Jalen Hurts really, actually, wear the star and call it NT Stadium home? Could he turn his back on the city that chanted MVP for him just a year ago? Could the NFL's biggest rivalry get even spicier? If this is real, if even 10% of it has legs, then we are on the verge of witnessing one of the most seismic player moves in modern football history. And if it turns out to be smoke and mirrors? Well, then at least we all got a taste of what chaos looks like in the digital age of sports. Either way, you better believe we'll be here covering it from every angle, because this story isn't going away anytime soon.